My name is Dorian, this is SCM Comics. We are continuing our coverage of Absolute Power with Superman, number 17. So the story starts off back in the day where we see a Welcome to Smallville sign, home of Superboy. And then Superboy gets pretty much thrown right through it. And we see Kid Warlock talking about, I know your weakness, Boy of Steel. You know how hard it was for me not to say Man of Steel. And Superboy is more worried about his cape that just got damaged because he's like, man, my mom just made this for me. And he's like, man, I really hate. And then we go to the next page. We're in present time. And he says, magic. Now, if you wonder why Superman and Zatanna are together, we ain't got time to explain all that. But a link to the playlist is always in the description. Well, anyway, they're at the headquarters of the Justice League Dark, which is right underneath the Hall of Order. And Superman's like, how in the hell did Man of Waller not find this? And Zatanna's like, she probably has, but the force field that goes around it is pretty much designed that if you're not a magic user, you'll pretty much be walking to eternity and will never find anything. And then she also explains that the only reason why they're able to get there is because Wonder Woman had a shortcut that she uses from the mascara. So Zatanna's going over the plan with Superman, how they're there to find the map Mora drew. Once they do that, they'll be able to pretty much travel anywhere, including the multiverse, without a Man of Water being able to track them. But all Superman could think about is how he had to blow up his forces of solitude. And he's to let his emotions get to him as he starts punching the wall multiple times. And she has to stop him. And he starts to explain how, Man of Waller pretty much had to make him blow up his force of solitude. He had to fight his son, turned his son into whatever he was when he showed up. And it just upsets him. And she's like, yeah, I know. When I lost my dad, I really didn't know what to do or how to handle it. Because of that makes us, and Superman finishes the statement, human. So then we switch to Metropolis, where Amanda Waller's hologram is giving Peacemaker, the business. She's pissed at him because he let Lex Luthor get away. Now, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on what side you're rooting for, Amanda Waller doesn't know that Lex Luthor doesn't have his memories. He lost his memories during the whole Brainiac War, and I don't even know if it was called Brainiac War, but that's what I'm calling it. She has the bride of Brainiac, but I guess the bride of Brainiac didn't know that Lex Luthor lost his memory. And Peacemaker is trying to explain how somebody other than Lex Luthor got into one of the super armors and pretty much did a number on him and got him out of there. So now Amanda Waller is trying to figure out who she didn't account for when she started this whole thing. And then we see the person who they didn't account for, which is Lois Lane. She's pretty much flying back from, I guess, patrol or whatever. And she goes straight to Leanne's apartment. That's where everybody's hiding out at. She explains how Amanda Waller pretty much took over the Daily Planet. She didn't know what news was real and what was propaganda. She heard Superman got shot, but she didn't have any way of verifying it. So she went to Supercorp, and that's when she grabbed a super suit. She saw what was going on with them, and she decided to rescue them. So Lex Luthor's daughter is pretty much explaining how they went there to try to jog Lex's memory, which didn't work. And Lex is sitting there, he's like, yeah, I still can't remember anything. But the way you guys talk about him, it seems like he was a great man. Everybody just looks at him like, yeah, okay. So then Mercy shows up, and she's like, all right, Lois, you need to take off that super suit, because if I can track you, that means they can track you too. So then she sees Lex, and she's like, Mr. Luthor, and she goes to hug him, and obviously he doesn't recognize her, and this is the first time she is realizing that he doesn't have his memory. So then Lois is asking about Superman. It's like, did he get shot, or is it bullcrap? And Mercy's like, all right, let me fill you in on everything that's been going down. So now we cut back to Superman and Zatanna, and Superman's explaining how he keeps getting all these different images pop in his head of when he had to deal with different magic users in the past. And Zatanna's like, yeah, that's pretty much the dark road, getting you ready for what's about to go down. So as they're walking, Superman's like, are we in the swamp? And he was like, yeah, not just any swamp. We're in the swamp of Swamp Thing. We're in an apartment of trees. I hid something there, and then we got to go get it. All of a sudden, they're walking, and there's fire everywhere because Amanda Waller's troops are burning down all the trees. So Superman doesn't even hesitate. He goes running, and then punches the first dude he comes to. Satana's like, well, I guess I gotta help out. She comes in with a flying knee, so I guess she's a fan of Bryan Danielson. So Superman's trying to fight them all, and Satana's trying to explain to them, like, look, we can't stop them all. Like, we need to get our powers back to be able to really deal with these guys. So why don't you come help me? Let me look for this tree. Hopefully it's not burned down yet. So they find it. It is on fire. Zatanna just runs over, reaches her hand into the burning tree, and she pulls out a book. The book is called The Oblivion Bar. Zatanna explains to Superman how pretty much once they read the magic words, they'll be transported there. She also explains that it's going to hurt. Superman's like, I'm getting used to that. Like, you forget that it takes a lot to hurt Superman when he's powered up. So she's like, all right, you ready? And he's like, all right. And they read the magic words. Once upon a time, there was a bar called the Oblivion Bar. And then they start transforming into words and going into the book. One of Amanda Waller's goons starts to instantly burn the book. Another dude's like, hey, she wanted all artifacts to go to the army. He's like, it's too late. That must have been the dude that caught the flying knee. But on the next page, we see that they did make it, so they did not get burned to a crisp. So Zatanna's like, try not to stand out, Superman. He looks at her like, yeah, okay. This big S on my chest, it's kind of hard to hide. So another magician recognizes her. I guess he's like a big fan of hers. He's also a stage magician that's been down on his luck a little bit, so he decided to get a job at the Oblivion Bar. He's trying to explain to her how there's somebody that already showed up, which was Jadestone, in wreck shop. They rebuilt it, but now they're kind of leery. And before he could say another word to her, all you hear is Superman yell, cowards! Every single one of you are cowards. You guys still have your magic abilities, and you decided to hide here instead of helping us out there, and we don't have our powers. There are people out there risking their lives, people that you call friends, and you rather stay here, drink, and hide from the world. All of a sudden somebody says, you're here too, ain't you? And we see his kid Warlock, and he's a hell of a lot bigger now. So Superman's like, kid Warlock. Or should I just say Warlock now? And he's like, nah, I kept the kid. Gotta stay on brand. So the kid Warlock goes to escort him out, and Superman's like, no, I'm not leaving. Nah, until I get the map of Mordru. And the kid Warlock's like, oh, okay, fine. I guess we can do it the hard way. I know your weakness. And he hits him with a magic spell. Before I go any further, can I just say that Jamal Campbell is doing a hell of a job, like drawing this and coloring this. Like, this book looks fantastic. So Superman pretty much gets back. He gets in like a fighting stance. Kid Warlock goes to do another magic spell, and Superman comes up with a straight right to his chin. Kid Warlock is coughing. He's trying to say another spell, and then he hits him with a left right in the stomach. And then he picks him up and he throws him. That's Batman. Like, Batman has told this man numerous times, when your powers are going, you gotta be able to handle yourself. So that got to be Batman's influence. And then Superman is just feeling himself, because he's like, anybody else? Next words I better hear is, I can help. Well, and that's what somebody says. I can help. All of a sudden they start heading up these steps, and this dude's smoking and drinking. And he's like, I came across this map some time ago, and it can be yours, as long as we can come to a deal. This dude is named Naran. He's pretty much a John Constantine, or it's supposed to be Constantine, but Constantine sounds better. He's one of his villains, so he's a demon. Plain simple, they're dealing with a demon. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We continue our coverage of Absolute Power with Origins number 2. So the story starts off with Amanda Waller pretty much narrating how the superheroes and the heroes, when there is nothing for them to really fight for, they fight amongst themselves, showing Batman and Superman. But as soon as there's a threat that everybody got to deal with, which surprisingly is the original Mazo robot, that's when they decide to come together for the greater good. As we see the Justice League, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, John Stewart, and Martian Manhunter. And Amanda Waller is like, and who are they fighting for? Not the people. That's for damn sure. And she's crafting this narrative how vigilantes, heroes, and superheroes seem to be on our side, but really, they're not. She's talking to this guy. She calls him by his real name of Clarence, and he's like, hold on, time out. How'd you know? And she's like, it's literally my job to know. And you deserve to be called by your real name and not that messed up one that they slapped on you. Cyclotron? But you're not Cyclotron. You're Clarence Sims. she goes over his rap sheet, his unfortunate circumstances. She also goes over how he actually got his powers from the company that promised to do this for him, but really they needed to do something else. So they manipulated him, and now he pretty much has a bomb inside of him. And since he has a bomb in him, he decided to go ahead and rob a bank. And Amanda Waller was like, you know what? You were trying to look out for your family, just like my husband was trying to look out for his family. And they labeled him a criminal. I don't see you as a criminal, Clarence. I see you as a success story to my Task Force X. So then we cut to a tax office. This guy's working on his computer, and he goes, "Hi, how you doing? My name is Dante." And all of a sudden all I hear is, "Dante, Amanda Waller." And he goes, "Wait, Amanda Waller, you're..." "Yes, I am. I want you to look at something." She shows him her phone. He has a surprised look on his face, and he goes, How did you..." She goes, "Because I know all, Dante, and there is nothing that you can hide from me. And don't think I'll be seeing you again." And she just leaves out. And now we get to meet the original Task Force X. From right to left, you got Dr. Polaris, you got Emerald Princess, you got Rustum, you got Lobo, which most of you guys recognize, you got Cyclotron or Clarence, and you got Johnny Sorrow. So some of you guys probably saying, "Man, you know," no, I looked it up. Because I know most of these people. But now you don't have to. And the majority of them are buying into exactly what she's saying, except for Lobo. Lobo ain't buying into it. He ain't buying none of it. He's like, "Nope, this is crap." So Lobo's like, "You got us going into North Kamistan or whatever and drop kicking these super socialist souls, huh? And you got these dudes, including Clarence, thinking that they can be heroes." Now let me tell you, I don't really care about any of this stuff. As long as I get paid, it's all that matters. And that's the thing about Lobo. He ain't gotta like you. He ain't gotta believe in what you're doing. But if you're paying him, he'll do the job for you, and he'll do it till it's done. So then we cut to North Kamistan, which it looks like North Korea and old school Russia had a baby. And then Amanda Waller admits that her real mission ain't got nothing to do about liberating the country. She can give two you-know-whats, and she feels like it's too late anyway for the country. But the dictator has created something called the God Engine. That's how he's able to make his metahumans, and she wants it. But all of a sudden, the feed is cut out. She can't hear or see nothing. She's telling Stan to fix it. He's like, "I think it might be the radiation." And it's like, "No, there's no radiation. That engine doesn't use radiation." She's like, "At least give me like sound." So he gets a sound, and we hear somebody talking about Amanda Waller is pretty much shoving us a load of crap. And then we get back to visual, and we see it's Clarence. You see, Amanda Waller, it's not like she doesn't like people with superpowers. She doesn't like people with superpowers that are not in control, especially in her control. And this right here, she cannot have. So she hops on a con leak with Lobo and goes, "I will double your pay if you take out Cyclotron." He goes, "You ain't said nothing but word." Takes his little toy and slashes him wide open, and there is a huge boom. Whole place goes up. And I'm not just talking about the building at the end. I'm talking about the whole country. So she tells Stan to send in a clean team to make sure that there's no remnants of Clarence. And I'm thinking to myself, like, so she doesn't get implemented, but actually it's something totally different, which we'll see at the end. So Stan's like, "So what you going to do?" She goes, "I'm going home, and I need to figure out how I'm going to spin this to the president." So when she gets home, she's drinking, and all of a sudden her daughter comes home. And she's like, "Why'd you do it, Mom?" And she's like, "Do what?" See, if you haven't figured out, Dante was actually her fiance. And Amanda Waller pretty much ruined the marriage. Or the wedding. Because they gotta get married first before they have a marriage. So her daughter's like, "Is this about Dad?" And she's like, "No, it's not about Dad. It's about control. Like, this dude did this. How do you know he's not going to do it again? Like, you can't control the situation, so why would you be in it? Like, you don't know if he is going to do it again." And Dante's a good guy. Somehow, some way, they work it out to where she's hugging her daughter at the end, which I'm like, phew. Like, if my mom pulled that, I don't know if I can do that. So now we cut to the White House. You see, the government is telling the media that the country blew itself up on accident. But you and I know what's going on. And so does the president. And he's like, "Not too good on your first mission, huh?" She's like, "I made one mistake. I made deadly force the last resort. Really, it should be the first one. You see, they had a cleanup team go and collect Cyclotron's remains, or what was left of them, and they was able to develop something to where they can put in a little pill that, when activated, will pop somebody's head. She goes, I think Clarence Sims might be the best thing that ever happened to me. Welcome to the Suicide Squad. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We are continuing our coverage Absolute Power with Task Force 7, number 5. So the story starts off in Central City, where they say that something's moving so fast in the Gobi Desert that the sand is turned into glass. And Iris West is being told that her story, even though the lady loves it, it got to go to editorial, and right now editorial's overrun. And Iris starts to show her age a little bit. She's like, when I was coming up, I remember the editorial meetings happened in bars. Not anymore. When all of a sudden there's a whoosh and something goes flying by, you could take one guess what that was. And as they look outside, there is a line of fire headed straight to the Flash Museum. And one of the reporters is like, my sister works in a gift shop. And Iris knows it's Barry. Now, the one mistake that Amanda Waller probably did with these robots is they are free-thinking AIs. Like, I thought it was just like Jay Stone because he absorbed Alan Scott's power that gave him free will. Truth be told, it just probably sped up the process. These robots are free thinking to the point to where they pretty much make their own decisions, even though they have the programming. So yeah, like I said, I think with J-Stone, it's just being sped up. But eventually all these robots would come to their own conclusions on what right and what wrong is. So all these thought bubbles in this comic doesn't belong to Barry Allen. No, they belong to the amazing robot Velocity who's chasing after him. And he says to himself, like, he's not the fastest Flash, that's Wally West. He's not the first Flash, that's Jay Garrick. But for some reason, this dude is eluding him and he doesn't know why. But then, at that moment, he finally catches him and he grabs him by the neck. And he's like, finally. And all of a sudden, Barry does his thing. He starts to vibrate. And he vibrates right through his hands. He vibrates through the floor and on to the next level. Now, when the Amazos steal people's powers, they only steal the powers, but also they steal their memories too. So he's sitting there and he knows he can't vibrate. So he's looking through the other Flashes that he absorbed their powers to see if they have a memory on how to vibrate, and everything's jumbled and he can't find anything. But he sees Jai West's powers, and I guess his power is where he can get real strong. So that's what he does and uses it to smash through the floor. So while that's going on, Barry's looking for something. He's moving at super speed trying to find it. All of a sudden, finally, he sees it. But as soon as he sees it and he goes to go grab it, Velocity smashes through the floor. He sees exactly what he's going for too. They both go for it at the same time, and the thing blows up to the point to where Velocity is pretty much speaking code, like he's speaking ones and zeros. So this dude comes back online just in time to see like the desperation on Barry Allen's face. But then all of a sudden his face has changed and the stare he gives Velocity, Velocity's like, this dude looks animalistic, like it's lightweight scary. And then all of a sudden Barry Allen takes off. But now he's running really fast to the point to where he's about to go into the Speed Force, and Velocity is right behind him. He's kind of like blurry because he's never been in the Speed Force, even though he has these Speed Force powers. So while they're in the Speed Force, Barry Allen turns around and starts punching Velocity, like to the point to where his face plate's getting broken and everything. Which, if you guys been reading Absolute Power, that you know that these amazing robots are self-repairing, so it doesn't really phase Velocity that much. But the reason why Barry Allen did this is because he wanted to blind Velocity so that he can vibrate out of the Speed Force and leave Velocity trapped there. So since he's trapped there, he takes his time and he accesses a memory of Wally West back when he was Kid Flash, and Barry was teaching him how to vibrate through walls, which Wally West was really bad at. So Wally wants to just quit and go get something to eat because, you know, all Flashes have really high metabolisms. So then Barry Allen's like, look, the secret to be able to vibrate through things is you need to picture somebody in your mind who you really want to see really bad that's on the other side, and you'll make it through. So Wally West starts to do it, and he's like, how'd you learn this in the first place? And then Barry's like, let's just say it was a really steep learning curve. Now, come on, let's see you do it. And then Wally West does it, and he passes through, and Barry's like, see, told you can do it. Now, let's go get that burger. So now we cut to another memory, which is Barry Allen's memory, And I'm thinking to myself, like, hold on, time out. He didn't absorb Barry Allen's power, so he shouldn't have his memories. But maybe he can look at Barry Allen's memories because he's trapped in the Speed Force. In this memory, Iris shows up at Barry Allen's house or apartment, and she's like talking through the door. Barry Allen's on the other side, and he is shot. And he's like, okay, I really want to see this woman again, but if I don't do something fast, I'm not going to, because I'm going to die because there's a bullet in his chest. So under duress, he starts vibrating his hand, and he's like, I got to do this right, otherwise I can pretty much destroy my heart. And he does it, and he pulls out the bullet, and Velocity sees this, and he's like, high learning curve indeed. So once Velocity sees this, he realizes that now he knows why Barry trapped him in here. Because who does he like care about or love that he can vibrate himself through anything? He doesn't have anybody because he's a robot. But then he realizes that there is somebody that he really wants really bad. So he figures out how to vibrate through, because that person is Barry Allen himself. So while this is going on, Barry Allen searches and finds Iris West, and they're in his Speed Force aura, so they can talk normally even though he's moving at super speed. I guess now she's kind of moving at super speed too. And he just lets her know that, you know, like right now, he's fighting the enemy. He doesn't know if he can beat him. And Iris is like, look, just go do your thing and just come back to me. You always come back to me. And Barry Allen lets her know that he's always running to her. Barry Allen takes off. All of a sudden, Iris West just gets a sick feeling. And then we see Velocity chasing after Barry. But Velocity has decided not to catch him just yet, because there's a lot to learn from Barry Allen. Now we cut to Wonder Woman's boo thing, Steve Trevor, who has been infiltrated in Amanda Waller's prison on Gamorra Island. It was just supposed to be a recon mission. All of a sudden, he sees himself in like the deep bowels of the prison. He sees Amanda Waller standing there with her daughter, and they're accessing, like, I guess, this dimensional gate. Anyway, somebody comes through it. It's a woman. And at first I'm thinking to myself, like, this is like another version of Amanda Waller from a different Earth. But then we see that she's talking to her, and she's like, just in case these Amazos don't work out and my plan starts to go awry, I want to use you guys as insurance. And we see it's the crime syndicate from Earth 3. Not quite. Not the original ones. Pretty much everybody from the original crime syndicate is dead. Like, I think them all. Yeah, all of them are dead. All these are replacements for the crime syndicate. So, yeah. Either way it goes, man, this seems like overkill. My name is Dorian. This is SEM Comics. We're continuing our coverage of Absolute Power with Green Arrow, number 15. So our story starts off with Green Arrow trying to dig up something, and he's also remembering things from his past. And he is digging up this artifact, or this thing, might not be an artifact. Either way it goes, it's something that Martian Manhunter gave him, and he entrusted him and him alone with it. He said it might be the most dangerous weapon in the world, or on the planet, same thing. And that if he ever needs to destroy the Justice League, this will be the key. So he finds whatever he was searching for, and he radios back to headquarters to give him a pickup. And they was like, you can't. Bright has your ship. And he's like, what are you talking about? He was like, yeah, he said you sent him on a mission. And all of a sudden he was like, oh no. He says an expletive and starts running. And if you remember from the last video, or if you read the last issue, you remember that the Arrow family is falling from the sky. That's right. Green Arrow, his son, Red Arrow, Arsenal, Red Canary, Speedy, and Owlet are all dropping out the sky. They have no superpowers, they have no parachute, and it looks like they have no hope. So Arsenal, the original Speedy, says, everyone, quick, parachute arrows. Because of course they do. So the Red Canary is like, I don't use arrows. And then Red Arrow gets close to her, grabs her hand, and deploys her parachute arrow just in time enough to slow them down a little bit, but they still hit the desert floor pretty hard. But they're definitely not out the woods yet, because the whole reason why they were dropped from the sky is because Tomorrow Woman, she's still on her ass. She's still pissed off. She lands so hard on the desert floor that she creates a sonic boom, and everybody goes flying. She grabs Roy Harper by the neck and is about to choke him out when Green Arrow's son comes over and starts to talk to Tomorrow Woman. I guess they tried out at the same time for the Justice League, and then he starts to kind of just let her know that Dr. Ivo and T.O. Mora is not going to fix her. They're just going to weaponize her again to come with them, and they'll do everything in their power to help her become a superhero. I guess that conflicted with her programming that was already in her, because she just kind of like does like a skirk, and then she just lets go of Roy Harper, falls over, and Green Arrow, his son, catches her. So now they're like, all right, that problem's avoided. Now we gotta go get Ivo. And then they see the ship pass over, and it belongs to Amanda Waller, and they're like, damn it, they got Ivo. So they start chasing after her, talking about they need to follow him. And then all of a sudden, Roy is like, well, where's Jade and Lane? And all of a sudden, his boo thing starts talking to him on the phone, or the comm, and it's like, hey, don't worry, we're on the ship, and we're going to do your job. Now, if you watch Young Justice, then you know that Cheshire can handle herself. Like, I'm not worried about her. But there's going to be an issue because Bright's on that ship, and Bright's crazy, and he's mostly an android. So speaking of Bright, he starts talking to Ivo, and Ivo's like, well, why did you even grab me? And he was like, whatever Amanda Waller wants to do with you, that's what's going to happen. If she wants to help, you're going to help. If she wants to get rid of you, she's going to get rid of you. And then Ivo's like, swear I've met you here before. And then Bright's like, well, in my world, this is what's happened. And then Ivo's like, oh, my world, huh? Here comes the multiversal, you know what? So as soon as Bright threatens to rip Ivo's tongue out and eat it in front of him, told you he's crazy. Also, the pilot's like, hey, we got an issue. And it's like, what's that? We got an enemy in our tail. And it's the Arrow family. So they're flying outside the plane. I don't even know how they're hanging on, but they shoot their arrows and they board the Task Force 7 ship. And in Task Force 7, these are like the normal dudes, come out. But not only do they have guns, but they also have jetpacks. Now, the reason why the Arrow family is doing this, they're trying to create a distraction so that Cheshire and her daughter can get Ivo. So Cheshire and her daughter goes up to Ivo. Ivo's like, Cheshire, what are you doing here? And he's like, we're here to free you. We're going to take you back to the superheroes so you can help them. And Ivo's like, counter offer. I'll pay you a bunch of money to portray your ex, and then you take me as far away from here as possible. And Cheshire's like, deal. And her daughter's like, Mom. And that's why I like Cheshire, because her two parents were supervillains, and the apple does not fall far from the tree. Like, she might be helping them out, but don't get it twisted. Cheshire's a bad guy. But unfortunately, that deal looks like it's not going through, because Bright shows up, and Bright's like, you guys ain't going nowhere. So the Arrow family's holding their own, but it's, you know, arrows versus guns, and it's flying versus on the plane. So, you know, they're having issues. So Roy's like, all right, I got to do something. Hope this works. He puts an autopilot and he joins into the fight. So he wasn't fighting for that long when all of a sudden Bright shows up holding his boo thing and his kid. And it's like, you got a choice. It's either the brat or your lover. You choose. And Roy's like, don't drop him. He's like, why would I drop him? I'm not dropping him. I just want you to choose which one you want me to rip apart first right in front of you. That's all. Like I said, crazy. So Cheshire wakes up and she kicks Bright. And then he's still holding on to her kid. And Bright's like, well, I guess she made the decision for you. And he's about to do something to her kid. And all of a sudden, a green arrow comes out of nowhere, hits him in the shoulder. And somebody says, Bright, get the hell away from my granddaughter. It's the original Green Arrow. So yes, he's still a good guy. I should have known that. But, you know, he was very convincing in Absolute Power #1. Very. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We are continuing our coverage of Absolute Power with Batman #52. So our story starts off on the planet Zarnia. For those who don't know, that's the planet that Lobo's from. For some reason, Amanda Waller used the mother box to go to this planet and either built a mausoleum or the mausoleum's already there, and she moved a lot of her family members that are dead to there. Don't know why. And there is like a protective force field around the mausoleum because Lobo is tough as hell and you gotta come from somewhere tough to be that tough. At least that's my logic. And Batman and Catwoman are between the force field and the Suicide Squad. Not a great place to be. Now there's a timer on the mother box that's counting down to something. Don't know exactly what it is. So Batman's like, all right, you get to the mother box, I'll clear a path for you. And Selina's like, that's your plan? Batman's like, yep, that's my plan. Fight like hell. So Batman throws down a smoke bomb and through the smoke punches Amanda Waller's nephew, who is, I think, Deadeye. Yeah, his name's Deadeye. right in the face. Catwoman starts running, and Black Alice, the magic user, goes after her. So Deadeye catches another right hand for Batman, but then Gunsmith, who's on top of the roof, starts shooting at him. Now Batman says Gunsmith is a good shot, but he's not too smart. He always leaves himself wide open. So Batman uses a batarang and brings him down from the roof. But as he does that, Deadshot, who probably got tired of getting punched in the face, uses the opportunity to kick Batman in his face. Deadeye, not Deadshot. Deadeye. Two different characters. So now Black Alice catches up to Catwoman, who's working on the mother box, and Catwoman's like, you know what? I really don't like magic. There's one thing I do know about magic, is that it takes a lot of concentration, and Black Alice walks right into a tripwire that Catwoman left her. And as Black Alice trips and shouts out the expletive, Catwoman says, expletive indeed, and kicks her right in the face. So the Catwoman gets back to working on the mother box. There's like 8 seconds left. She's still working on it. She's trying to talk to Bruce. There's 1 second. She's not going to make it. There's no explosion. There's no poisonous gas. The tomb or mausoleum just kind of unfolds. So Bizarro's just looking on because I guess he's fascinated by what the mother box is doing, which is good because he's the real problem. Batman is fighting Deadeye, and he starts to let him know that he knows who he is, that he's Amanda Waller's nephew, and that he know that his mother has been moved to this planet. She's right over there. If you didn't catch on yet, his mother's dead. But now Batman has Bizarro's undivided attention as Bizarro punches the ground. Now I know Bizarro's like the exact opposite of Superman, but it's not like he moves super slow. And when he lunges at Batman, Batman's able to get out of the way. I'm like, how? He is a normal human. Gunsmith shakes off being thrown off a roof, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna kill Batman. He gets him in his sights, and he starts a fire. Batman moves fast enough to pretty much get behind Bizarro or in front of Bizarro, and the bullets go right off of Bizarro's back. And now Bizarro's like, oh, you want to shoot at me? I got something for you. So Catwoman's still working on a way to get the mother box out of the protective casing, and Batman runs over to the control panel for the force field. So Bizarro, fresh off of getting Gunsmith baby shaking syndrome, notices that all of a sudden the force field is now coming down. So then Batman goes to Bizarro's like, hey, I'm the one you want. And Bizarro's like, you ain't said nothing but a word, as he throws Gunsmith. That dude's having a bad day. So Bizarro lunges at Batman. Batman again gets out the way. He clicks a button, and all of a sudden the force field comes between Bizarro's arm and himself. So now he only has one arm. So Bizarro's like done playing now, and he uses his freeze vision because, you know, he's opposite Superman's heat vision, and shoots at Batman. Batman kind of jumps, but then he jumps at Bizarro. Bizarro catches him with his good arm. All I'm thinking, like, it's time for Batman to go to the hospital because he just got punched by Bizarro, who pretty much gives Superman a run for his money damn near every time. So Batman goes flying, and once he stops, he's like, the chest plate pretty much took the brunt of the actual impact, but he's still trying his damnness not to pass out. So Bizarro's about to give like the death blow to Batman, and all of a sudden Black Alice goes, oh my god, what the is that? And there is a swarm of carnivorous flying scorpions headed right for them because, yes, this is a death planet. It's a dead planet, but it's also a death planet. And there's no more force field to protect them. And these things are big. Like, big. And Deadeye found his mom's coffin, and all he wants to do is bring her body back to planet Earth. So Black Alice like, forget this, I'm out of here, and she's gonna go back through the portal. And Bizarro's like right behind her. Deadeye goes to fight Batman. I guess his suit kind of protects him from the scorpions. But then Batman starts to concentrate on that one little eyepiece until it cracks open. And now he's like, now what you gonna do? So then Catwoman finally gets a mother box out of the casing. Batman grabs her. Gunsmith is pretty much about to die because he just woke up and the scorpions are all over him now. But all of a sudden the scorpions just disappear. And Batman's like, what the hell's going on? Like, why did it just run? Like, they must be scared of something else. So it dawns on Batman quickly that Amanda Waller had a contingency plan when it came to the mother box. And her contingency plan is him. So Gunsmith barely survives the scorpions and is like, all I want to do is go home. And all of a sudden, he's hit with some Omega Ascensions. So now you should know who him is. The thing that Catwoman pretty much was able to disconnect that was stored in the mother box was heightened energy. As soon as she disabled it, it pretty much let Darkseid know exactly where the mother box was located at. And he was on the first thing smoking right to Lobo's planet, which is another mother box. He used another mother box to get there so fast. So Batman's yelling, run! And Selina's kind of looking at Batman because I don't think she has never seen Batman so scared in his life. So the Omega Ascensions are coming right for him. Batman has a mother box. He knows how to pretty much work, and he has to think of a place where he wants to go. It lights up. They run through it. The Omega Ascensions would have went through the portal and probably hit both Catwoman and Batman, but Darkseid decided to avert them. Why? No clue. And Batman knows it. And right now, he's wondering who should he worry about more, Amanda Waller or Darkseid? Especially since Darkseid let him get away. So pretty much Batman got him transported to the island where they were supposed to get married but didn't. But then they kind of went off on their own. And that's when Alfred got abducted and then murdered by Bane. All that happened in that time frame. And pretty much that's the beach that they were at when all that stuff was going down. So Catwoman was like, all right, well, let's get to it. Let's get this mother box back to the other superheroes so we can figure out what to do next. And Batman's like, no, I need a minute. Like, I just need a minute to just calm down and chill. And Catwoman's like, all right, you got a minute. We'll get one moment. And after that, we got to get to it. And that kind of surprised me because, like, Batman's normally the one that's hard charging, going 100 miles an hour all the time, never resting, never taking a moment at all. But if you think about all the things that he's been through, especially since Chips of Dark has been writing them, like, yeah, Batman's like, no, you know what? I want a minute. We're here. We're going to take a minute. Now, there is a secondary story with the Birds of Prey and the Amazons because they're on Themyscira right now, and something went down with the Birds of Prey and Amazons, and Amazons don't trust the Birds of Prey at all. I guess you got to read Birds of Prey or you got to read Wonder Woman to find out what happened. I don't know exactly which book all that went down in, or if it happened in both books, but the art in this is ridiculous. I think his name is Mattia Diala. I know I mispronounced that extremely badly, but his artwork is fantastic, like ridiculously good. Especially Big Barda. They got Big Barda looking just crazy menacing as he jumps down off this helicopter into like the water. They're like, does she know about the megalodons? I'm like, Amazon waters have megalodons? Come on, this is crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to say it's not much of a story. I mean, like I said, I don't read Birds of Prey. I haven't been reading Wonder Woman, so for me going on, I'm just letting you know what I read in the comic. But as far as like how it works in the grand scheme of things, I really couldn't tell you. But all I was thinking, like, this artwork is great. My name is Doran. This is SEM Comics. We are continuing our coverage of Absolute Power with number 3. So the story starts off in Gateway City, where you got Hawk Girl calling out to anybody. Wonder Woman, Flash, anybody that can hear her. She pretty much tells how she knows she's supposed to lay low, but she saw the Fearsome Five doing Fearsome Five things and she had to step in. Well, when that happened, an amazing robot showed up and not only took away her powers, but also took away the powers of the Fearsome Five and then started collecting them. Only her and Mammoth got away. And that picture right there shows that there's no more bad guys, there's no good guys, it's just Amanda Waller versus the metahumans. And speaking of Amanda Waller, now we cut to Gamorra Island where she's talking to her main troops. Amanda Waller's talking to the Brainiac Queen and she's asking her has she found the superheroes that were at the Force of Solitude before Superman blew it up. And she's like, no, haven't found them yet, but Super Son, which is Jonathan Kent, who is now possessed by the Brainiac Queen using Brainiac tech, is searching the globe at super speed, and it's just a matter of time. She pretty much tells Amanda Waller. Then she turns to Failsafe, and she's asking him about Task Force 7, which is pretty much the Amazing Robots, and how everything's going. And Failsafe says, yeah, everything's going good. They're about to be at about 100%, but he does sense some, like, issues. He brings up J-Stone and Velocity. J-Stone is a Green Lantern Mazo, and Velocity is the Flash of Mazo. And he pretty much says that they're less responsive than the others are, which is pretty much that free willing AI. They're starting to think for themselves. And Amanda Waller is like an old school parent. She'll be damned if her kids start thinking for themselves. No, they just need to follow orders. Do what mommy says. Failsafe says worst comes to worst, he'll just do like a reboot or a primal reset. So nothing to worry about. They can move forward. And when they move forward, they're about to move forward. So now we have our man, and he's on the beach and he's picking himself up. Red Tornado comes out of nowhere to help him up. Now our man is, I guess, blind, and his equipment that he has helps him see. Right now his equipment doesn't work, so he's a blind man. Now Hal Jordan Jr. is there too. This is news to me too. I didn't know he had a son. I didn't know he was like either a teenager or grown. I had no idea. And Nightwing and Mr. Terrific comes out of nowhere, so that shows they're on Themyscira. Now last time I was reading, our man and Red Tornado, they were with the Justice Society, and they were in the Tower of Fate. So something happened to the Tower of Fate that I guess we'll find out after this book. It's the reason why they're there. Now, the Amazonians have been dealing with their own issues, so open up Themyscira is something they don't want to do. But Wonder Woman and Donna Troy were able to convince the Queen to go ahead and let all the superheroes in, especially the male ones. They don't want the male ones there. So the Flash, Wally West, has pretty much been depowered, and he's been using like this hyper bike that almost gets him to the speed that he runs at. Not quite, but close enough. And the last time he was in the Force of Solitude, he's the one that had the kryptonite, and the Birds of Prey are asking for it so that they can deal with Superman's son. So of course Nightwing goes up Big Barda's like, no, you're not doing that. We got a plan for Jonathan. Now Big Barda just thinking that Nightwing is being weak, and she's like, look, I respect Superman, I respect his son, but right now he's being controlled, and it's either him or us, and I choose us. And Nightwing's like, look, you're not doing anything to him. In the discussion, and he just kind of walks away, and Big Barda's like, all right, I'll let you know now. If it comes down to it, I'm gonna take him out. So the Nightwing gets up high to address the superheroes. Just don't get it twisted. He's the leader in this. Not Superman, not Batman, not Wonder Woman, Nightwing. So Nightwing pretty much says how they're going to bring the fight to Amanda Waller. And I think it's Beast Girl. Pretty sure it's Beast Girl. Let me know in the comments if I got that wrong. But she's pretty much saying that, look, what are we supposed to do? I don't even know how to throw a punch. And that's when shirtless Hal Jordan, like you would think he would find a shirt by now, comes out and says that he has some presents, which is a bunch of weapons that he was able to pretty much transport on accident, because trust me, he didn't plan to do it. When he was on Gamorra and he found that magic wand, he said abracadabra, it transported him and a big bulk of weapons to Themyscira. So Wally West is the one that says, hey, here you go, Hal. Have this tactical jacket. No, we're trying to say, put some clothes on. Man, dude. So now Nightwing starts laying down the plan. He pretty much tells Aquaman, Blue Beetle, Red Tornado, and Yara to pretty much go check on Batman, because Batman has Amanda Water's mother box, and they're supposed to get some kind of villain named John Starr, who's on the Suicide Squad. He wants Donna Troy and her team, which is pretty much the Birds of Prey, including Big Barda, to stay on Themyscira and see if the Amazonians will let them borrow some weapons. And then the rest of the squad is going to go out and answer the Shrek signals to try to help out the other superheroes that are still out there. Now we get to the fun part. We go to China, and you have the Chinese government, and they're pretty much pissed because they have a superhero, and that superhero has been depowered and put in Amanda Waller's supermax for superheroes. So they're sitting there discussing exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to respond. And then all of a sudden, Failsafe comes out of nowhere. It's like, you ain't going to do a damn thing. And he says it in Mandarin. So pretty much Failsafe lets them know that superheroes aren't just an American problem, they're a world problem. But don't worry, because they're going to have world jurisdiction. So you know the Chinese are getting all bent out of shape about this. But then Failsafe cuts them off again and lets them know, like, it doesn't matter. Because Brainiac Queen is right now into your systems, and she's stealing all of your little secrets. So everything that you're trying to hide, we already know about. So you might as well go ahead and just call me the general. And if you don't believe me, let's go ahead and call up Russia and Japan. See how they're doing right now. So Amanda Waller cuts him off and is like, you need to get back here and you need to get back here now. So Failsafe has to stop his little dictator speech and it starts flying back. So he's like, what's wrong? And Amanda Waller's like, the Amazos, there's something wrong with the Amazos. Like, you need to do a diagnostics and let me know what the hell's going on. So pretty much Failsafe does a diagnostics and he's like, man, there's a little bit of problem. Like, what is it? Well, it's their identity. What's wrong with their identity? But when they download the superheroes' powers, they're also downloading their morality. Amanda Waller freaks out. She's like, you're trying to tell me that goodness is a superpower? And Failsafe's like, I got it. I'm about to reboot him right now. So he hits the reboot right when Velocity is about to catch Barry Allen. They get rebooted, so obviously this slows down Velocity. So now Flash is like, I don't know who's listening, but something happened and this dude is slowing down like drastically. So somebody calls for him and he's like, is this Hal? He's like, no, this is not Hal. He's like, well, who is this? And dude's like, don't worry about it. All you need to know is Amanda Waller has a Supermax prison on Gamorra Island and you need to get to the lower level. And Barry was like, and do what? And he was like, to do what all Flashes do during Crisis. Save the world or die trying. So then we cut to the OSS Rev where you have Bizarro, who is fresh off of Lobo's world. If you read or watched Batman 152, then you know what I'm talking about. In that, he got his arm pretty much cut off, but looks like somebody gave a new one, and he's using it. He knocks the hell out of Yar, and then he takes that arm and puts it right through Aquaman. I'm like, things just went from bad to worse. Then we turn to the next page, and we see a Black Mercy plant on him. If you guys don't know what a Black Mercy plant is, it's pretty much an alien plant that once it gets on you, it shows you your like most desired dreams, and in that dream, you're pretty much achieving everything you want to achieve. Right now, Bizarro is in that. So then we go below deck where we got Blue Beetle and Red Tornado. And Blue Beetle's like, would you take that stupid helmet off? And Red Tornado's like, this is the helmet of Aztec. It gave his late wearer superhuman powers. And Blue Beetle's like, you said late, right? That means it didn't work out too much for him. So they finally find this dude Star. He's being guarded by Black Alice. She started using her powers and they're like, you guys ain't going nowhere. But then Yara comes behind her, knocks her out. Now we're thinking, okay, everything's going to be okay. No, Amanda Waller's nephew comes out of nowhere, shoots Red Tornado right in the head, and he's wearing that helmet. So I guess Blue Beetle was right. So then we cut to Costa Rica, and I don't know who this dude is, but he got a demon wolf, and he's giving this Amazo a run for his money. And Amanda Waller and Ali is watching all this. So then we cut back to Themyscira. Blue Beetle is trying to work on Red Tornado because he got shot in the head, but please remember, he is a robot. Then you got Mr. Terrific. He's also in the lab, but he's talking to Artemis. I think that's Artemis. Could be wrong, but let me know in the comments if I am, but I think that's Artemis. When he notices something, all of a sudden, Brainiac Queen comes out of the circuitry. So she's there. That means John's there, and he's right above, wrecking shop. So Brainiac Queen got a hold of Mr. Terrific and Artemis. John comes down and punches the bejesus out of Nubia. Big Bart's like, Dad, give me that kryptonite bullet. She loads it up into a sniper rifle. She takes aim. All of a sudden, a instrument stick comes out of nowhere, hits her in the hand, and you got Nightwing saying, I told you no. So the Nightwing's like, come on, John. This is me you want. Come on, come get me. Come on the ground and fight me. And as soon as he steps on the ground, all of a sudden, John is getting hit with all this energy because Themyscira is filled with magic. That's what Mr. Terrific and Nightwing noticed. So since Kryptonians are weak to magic, they made sure that as soon as Jonathan steps on the ground, all the magic of Themyscira will go straight to him. So with that, it pretty much breaks the hold that Brainiac Queen had on John. Brainiac Queen's like, what's going on? And then John's like, you know what? You only got one side of the story when it comes to Amanda Waller. Let me show you the other side. And starts filling all this information into Brainiac Queen via, I guess, the magic of Themyscira. Now, at the same time, Batman shows up with the mother box. Now, Amanda Waller was kind of ready for this just in case something like this happened. She does an emergency override. So now the Brainiac Queen is back to where she was. She's about to jump on John. Batman comes out of nowhere and hits Brainiac Queen with the mother box. So who knows where she just got sent to. And if somebody calls out for John, and it's Superman. And he says, I'm very proud of you, son. So Donna Troy is trying to apologize to Nubia for everything that happened on Themyscira. Nubia's like, look, what is done is done. We need to worry about Amanda Waller. If we beat her, then we'll settle up later on. So then Batman sees the dude Star, and he's like, I need you. And she was like, why me? He was like, because you know Star. So I'm like confused. And Batman's like, you know how to get everybody's powers back. All I know is this dude deals with like time travel, so it's probably gonna have something to do with that. But on the last page, Barry Allen does get to Amanda Waller's Supermax prison. He sees what's going on in there. He is like, oh my God, she's tapped into a multiverse. She's trying to build a multiversal army, and he doesn't even see members of the crime syndicate right behind him. My name is Dorian. This is SEO Comics. We'll continue our coverage of Absolute Power with Super Son #1. So the story starts off on Themyscira, where you have John texting his boyfriend Jay. John's telling him about the view. Jay is wondering why John hasn't picked him up yet. And John lets him know that the Amazonians want to do a few more tests on him before they say he's in the clear. So speaking of Amazonians, Lowe shows up and tells John that it's time for his final exam. And John's like, you know what, the Brainiac Queen's all out of me. Batman made sure of that with the mother box. And Lowe says that evil is like cancer. Its reach is vast. What Batman removed was just a tumor. We gotta make sure it's all out. So John's laying down on the exam bed, and he still has his phone, like your typical Gen Zer, because he still really believes that all of Brainiac Queen is out of him. And Lowe grabs the phone, is like, we gotta make certain. So they start the process. He sees when Batman comes with the mother box to free him of the Brainiac Queen. He also sees a memory that the Brainiac Queen was showing him while he was doing other stuff. He walks up to this limo where you see Dreamer and Damian Wayne wearing a chauffeur hat and coat. So I guess you could say we're getting a little bit of the Super Sons, even though it's in dream form. So he gets into the limo. He sees Dreamer. She's holding his cat Goldie, who's been dead for a long time, and he knows it. And that right there should be getting some tall tale signs. It's like, who's been feeding you? Who's been changing your litter box? So he starts to realize that this is a dream and he's being manipulated, especially when Damian Wayne is like, dude, when am I ever a chauffeur for you? While he was in that dream, this is what his body was doing. He's flying after this crazy looking plane that has a huntress in it. The pilot's like, I don't know how I let you talk me into this. That is Superman's son that's after us. And he wastes no time catching up to the plane and breaking right through the bottom. Now, I don't know what kind of ability this is, or she has like a device, but she shoots some like lasers from her hands into his eyes, and then she shoves a grenade into his mouth and then kicks him out the plane, says, I'm sorry. It explodes, but this is Superman's son, so he is just fine. So he flies back into the plane. She swings on him. He ducks. Pilot's like, F this, and he just ejects himself out of there. She tries to do a leg sweep, and he jumps in the air. I'm thinking to myself, why jump in the air? He's like, she can't leg sweep you. Maybe he realized that she's about to leg sweep, break her leg, so he jumped to make sure that she doesn't get hurt. And then he even catches one of her punches. But then with her other hand, she comes with an uppercut and actually hits John so hard that blood comes out of his mouth. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? But then the plane, I guess, jostles because there's no pilot. She hits her head on the plane wall. She's knocked out. So John grabs her, grabs the pilot, and takes him to Gamorra Island. And the man on the wall is like, man, you even catch a non-power superheroes, member of the Bat family. And you did it before my second cup of coffee. Good job. So then she starts talking about Dream, how she died a little bit sooner in her plans than she expected. But I guess she was a bloodhound when it came to finding superheroes, even though John's pretty good at that too. But then she goes, but perhaps there was a blessing in disguise. So what good is a precog that can't predict her own death? So then she's like, now I'm stuck with her family as hostages that I have to keep fed. Then she goes, John Cena, Peacekeeper, what's your status? And if you don't know how Dreamer died, she died in Absolute Power #2. Link to the playlist is in the description. So they show him bringing in some other superheroes like Vixen. I know the guy wearing the mask is Wesley Dodds, the Sandman, and I don't know who the other girl is. Let me know in the comments if you know who that is. And then he wakes up and he's like, that's enough. So they're trying to hold him, but this is the son of Superman. And he's like, I'm all better now, I promise. And he does not look better. Not at all. So then it cuts to Amazon treatment session, beta #2, where John's flying and he sees this monster attacking this marina, and he flies right through the monster to save some people. So then he sees that his drummer boy, who's controlling the monster with his drums, and he uses his heat vision, breaks his drums, then goes at Wonder Boy, I still blow some super breath at him, he jumps right over, and he's like, look, the developers that own this marina are also trying to tear down an LGBT testing center, and if I eliminate their source of money, that'll give the center time to relocate somewhere else. John's like, okay, let me have you talk to my boyfriend, maybe he can help you out. As he grabs Drummer Boy and he looks back and he sees his parents, but his parents kind of look like the Brainiac Queen. And then she appears as Drummer Boy and she throws him into a building. So one of the Amazonians is like, I knew it, she's still in there, and they're trying to restrain him down. And they're like, it's the son of Superman, it's kind of hard to do. And one of them's like, all right, well, get as many Amazonians there as possible because we need to get this done. So while Brainiac Queen is just putting on John, Dreamer and Galaxy are just sitting on like a rooftop eating pizza, having a conversation. So finally, Dreamer decides to intervene and knocks the hell out of Brainiac Queen, grabs John, and tells him to follow her to a safe place. And all of a sudden, he walks in the apartment and they're like, surprise, it's Supergirl, Damian, Nightwing, and Alfred. Everybody knows Alfred's dead, so you know this is a dream. And John even says as much. So the Dreamer notices Brainiac Queen like right outside the window. So John kind of picks up Alfred and he like turns into like a stick figure. John's like, you're dead. Jay's been captured. Like, what's going on? But then he wakes up and he's still on the mascara, but he's not inside the lab. So his phone goes off and it kind of scares him. He looks, it's his boyfriend Jay. They start texting back and forth and he's like, something's different. But then we go back into his dream and Brainiac Queen has full control over him. So Dreamer is trying to help him, but John has been through a lot. They show when his grandfather was messing with him, Jor-El. They also show when Ultraman pretty much tortured him, and he tortured him for a long time. Now he's going through all this stuff with Brainiac Queen. Like the boy's been through a lot. But his Dreamer that's right there helping him, and his Dreamer that's there by his side. Now, if he is free of the Brainiac Queen, a big assist needs to go to Dreamer. And John is trying to tell his boyfriend Jay that. But Jay ain't trying to hear that. Jay is glad that Dreamer's dead because she's the one that killed his mom. And John's trying to explain how, it really kind of wasn't her fault and they was staying with circumstances. Who wants to hear that when it's about their mother's death? Like, no one wants to hear all that. So Jay is about to say the words, maybe we need to break up and see other people. But John doesn't let him say that. But all of a sudden, the mascaras come out of nowhere. It's like, hey, Nightwing needs you. Like, they're moving on Manor Waller and we need to move now. So John's like, all right, well, I got to go take care of this. And Jay's like, yeah, go take care of that. And then maybe we can work on us later. And that's pretty much how the story ends. So I ask you, do you think John and Jay are done? Do you want them to be done? Do you want John to see girls? Or do you want him to just find a new boyfriend? Or should they stay together? Please, let me know what you think in the comments. My name is Dorian. This is SEM Comics. We are continuing our coverage of Absolute Power with Task Force 7, number 6. Our story starts off at the Mediterranean Sea, where Paradise Lost is at a high rate of speed headed straight towards the mascara. And as we have learned over the course of about 10 books, that the Amazos not only absorb your power, but they also absorb your memories too. So as this Amazo's coming to do some dirt, and yes, it's coming to do some dirt, it's going through the memories of Wonder Woman, seeing when she was first born, seeing when she was training, seeing pretty much just about everything that Wonder Woman came through to become Wonder Woman. Then all you hear is Sister rebooting. Now, if you're sitting there lost, don't worry, your boy got you. The reboot happened in Absolute Power number 3, link to the playlist be in the description. So then we see the moment where Paradise Lost took the powers of Wonder Woman, and I guess you could say her memories. Then all of a sudden, we see Bia wake up. Now, if you wonder who she is, she's one of the new Amazons that kind of popped up from the Well of Souls once Nibia became queen. Now, the Well of Souls is about to become extremely important, so keep that in mind. Anyway, it looks like she's a precog because she kind of sees that Paradise Lost is coming, so she hops on a horse to go warn Queen Nubia. Now, Paradise Lost has made it to Themyscira and comes down hard with like a 3-point superhero landing.
Ugh, that was disgusting.
And before Paradise Lost can take a step, a man in water lays down the law. I gave Queen Nubia options. You can either join us, or if you don't want to join us, that's fine, but don't interfere. But not only did she interfere by letting the superheroes hide on her little island, but also too, that's the place where my girl, Brainiac Queen, got dealt with. I am sending you your mission specs, Paradise Lost, and I need you to accomplish your mission by any means necessary. Oh yeah, she going straight Malcolm X Nation of Islam on him. Amanda Waller ain't playing no more. So now we cut to the throne room where Queen Nubia is meeting her war council. Now some of these Amazons are like fresh on the scene, like Bia, and some of them have been around for a minute, like Artemis and Philippus. Now like I said, Bia is pretty much letting them know that, hey, something's coming. And Philippus is like, it has to be the mechanical contraption, I like how she said that Diana and her friends were fighting. Little do they know. So now the guards that are pretty much around the Themyscira are being taken out. If they don't have any powers to steal, Paradise Lost is like, no problem. Looks like you're in my way, so she just kills them, snapping necks. So it makes it all the way to the building where the Well of Souls is being held, when finally a net comes down on them and the Amazons finally got a jump on Paradise Lost. Or so it seems, because it just powers out the net like it's nothing, and it starts to proceed to snap necks again. Like, Paradise Lost is playing for keeps. So it punches through the door, and the guard that's there says, Great Athena. And it looks like Paradise Lost is about to add to his kill list, when all of a sudden, a whip goes around his arm, and Queen Nubia arrives with her war council. So they get right to it. No mixed words, no nothing, just fighting. And Paradise Lost gets a jump on Artemis. But then Philippus jumps with the hang time of Jordan and comes down hard with an axe right on Paradise Lost. And Paradise Lost is like, you know what? I'm done playing these games. And all of a sudden, it never says Shazam, but that's Shazam's lightning. And it comes down and it clears the field. So now Paradise Lost walks into the Well of Souls, and its mission is to steal the souls and the powers of dead metahumans. And before you can say, how can it steal souls? It stole the power of the Spectre, which is God's wrath. Like, and can we have a conversation? Why isn't he just using the power of the Spectre? Like, Amanda Waller would be supreme ruler of the universe damn near if Paradise Lost used the power of the Spectre. But I know, wouldn't be much of a story if that happened, so yeah, I get it. Anyway, it steals the soul of Jet, Phantom Lady, Blue Ice, Fury, Mindboggler, and Firebrand, which Firebrand's an interesting one because Sasha from Castle Comics just covered her brother Firebrand and kind of brought her up too in the process. You should check out that video. It's really interesting. And after it does that, Amanda Waller has to do one more thing. It raises in the air and pretty much says, since you guys can't mind your business, you ain't going nowhere, and puts a force field around the whole island. So then we cut to Gamorra Island, where Amanda Waller just got finished having a conversation with Superwoman, who is Donna Troy from the Crime Syndicate universe, and it's just a long story. So as Amanda Waller turns around to walk out, she goes, when I asked the room to be cleared, I should have known that rats wouldn't listen, as she points out that she knows that Colonel Trevor has been there the whole time. So he does the only thing that he can do. He starts hauling ass out of there, and he's getting shot at, and he's wondering what the hell is he going to do to get out of this one. And as soon as he turns the corner, he runs into Damian and Diana, or Wonder Woman. And Damian's like, dude, if you're going to do this, try to be a little bit more stealthier, because we're trying to break people out here. My name is Dorian. This is SEM Comics. We are continuing our coverage of Absolute Power with Green Lantern number 15. So our story starts off with Hal Jordan and Wally West. They're on Wally West's bike, but Hal's the one that's doing the flying or riding, whatever it is. And Wally keeps calling him Uncle Hal. And it threw me off because when I started reading comic books, Wally West was the Flash. Like, he was the Flash, Barry Allen was gone. You know, Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, and Wally West took over as Flash, and he was Flash for like 20 years. So I just sometimes forget that Wally West started off as Kid Flash, and he looked up to Hal Jordan. That's why he's calling him Uncle Hal. So Wally's like, hey, Uncle Hal, can you slow down? He was like, oh, did you say speed up? Sure. And he goes faster. And Wally's like, no, slow down. So then Wally's like, I wonder if that's how Linda feels when I speed her off on a date. So Wally's like, where we at? And Hal's like, this is one of Bruce's private islands. And Wally's like, he has an island? And Hal's like, he's a billionaire. Once you're a billionaire, they practically give them to you. So he's like, we're here for the prototype. And Wally's like, prototype? And Hal's like, yes, the prototype. And we see the Batwolf, which looks stupidly dope. So he starts to explain how he test flew this plane for Bruce, but for some reason, once it starts to go to a certain speed, it makes this noise and then it blows up. He had his ring to protect him last time, and Wally's like, but your ring's to power. He's like, yeah, but you gave me this nifty flight jacket, so that should protect me. And then Wally's like, and Bruce is okay with this? And as soon as he said that, all of a sudden, all you hear is Batman's like, ow, hey, I got an alert says that you're at the island. So I was like, yeah, I'm about to take the prototype out. And Bruce is like, you mean the plane that happens to explode in midair? And I was like, yeah. And Bruce is like, no, I can't let you do that. That's too dangerous. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna shut it off. And then Bruce is like, why isn't the kill switch working? And Hal's like, you know what's wrong with you guys that are really disciplined? It makes you predictable. And Hal fires up the engines. Now, the reason why he has this plane is because he feels like this is the only thing fast enough he can get away from those amazing robots. So they're pretty much going to go to the Hall of Order. They're going to infiltrate it and get whatever information they need to get from it. Then they're going to go power up his ring. So then we cut to Coast City, where we have Dove trying to help out this little boy and his mom, who's been in a car accident, while there's an angry mob throwing stuff at her as he's trying to rescue the family. Then all of a sudden, this Sapphire bubble comes over to protect her. Sapphire, that should give you a clue. Yes, it's Carol Ferris. And she uses her power to pretty much put out the fire and also to get the mom out the car. So Carol explains how she's kind of new to the superhero thing, but she's digging it. She wants to help. That she's been tasked to find other superheroes to, help out. Dove is the only superhero that she's run into, and she wants to bring her back to the Tower of Fate. But then all of a sudden, Dove starts to act all crazy, and she starts saying, like, I'm useless, and, I want to kill myself. And she's like, what the hell's going on? And all of a sudden, we see that it's Sorrow. And Carol goes, Nate? So then we cut to Washington, D.C., where you got Hal and Wally are coming up on the Hall of Order. And Hal's like, there's not one lethal weapon on this plane because, Batman doesn't kill. But then he's like, I think I found one thing. And all of a sudden we see that he just releases the Batmobile and it goes flying into the front of the Hall of Order. It takes out all these robots because these dudes gotta be robots because they're getting hit with the Batmobile. And all of a sudden, this sonic gun comes out of this Batmobile and starts hitting these guys with EMPs. So Hal's like, all right, kid, now's your chance. Better go do it. And Wally's like, Roger. He flies in there, or he rides in there, and he has one of Mr. Terrific's T-Spears. And Mr. Terrific told him, all I gotta do is put it by the computer, it'll do the rest. And that's exactly what happened. So all of a sudden, the Batmobile explodes, and Wally's like, Hal, you got a major problem. Yes. That major problem is Major Force, and he's being controlled by a Brainiac Queen, even though she's dead or in another dimension. She ain't here no more. That's for damn sure. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, that happened in Absolute Power number 3. Don't worry, your boy got you. Link is always in the description. So Hal hits him with a smoke bomb, and he goes, kid, that was only smoke. You need to get the hell out of here, and I'll lead them the other way. So now we cut to Gamorra Island, where Alan Scott is still talking to J-Stone. Now, J-Stone should have been rebooted from, issue 3 of Absolute Power. Because, everybody got rebooted. But maybe the Starheart protected them. Like, I don't know. Like, somebody needs to explain to me, kind of square their circle on why J-Stone is still not rebooted. So Alan Scott pretty much summed this up in a nutshell. Like, you have a choice. You could choose to be good, or you could choose to be bad. You could choose to be a destroyer. You could choose to be a creator. It's up to you. But it's your choice. Nobody else's. So he gets an alert telling them that Hal Jordan is attacking the Hall of Order and that they want him to go intercept him. So as he's walking away, Alan Scott says, remember, your choice. So now we cut back to Coast City. All right, let me get you guys a lowdown on Sorrow. Pretty much he was Carol Fair's fiance, like ready to get married, when Carol Ferris decided to pretty much leave him at the altar and go back to Hal Jordan, who always leaves her and is like never there. And then Sorrow's like, well, that don't make any sense. And then he transformed into this new emotional spectrum of Sorrow. So he hits Carol and Dove with his new power of sorrow, and they go flying. And again, he's just like, why would you go back to him? Like, I don't understand. The dude is never there. I'm always here for you. I got your back, yet still you leave for him. Why? And then Carol's like, because I love him, as she uses her power, because, you know, Star Sapphire is like the love and emotional spectrum, I'm thinking, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure it's love. Yeah, Star Sapphire is love. So she pushes him back, but then he uses his power to push her back again, and then he just flies off. So then we come back to Hal, and he is being chased down by Major Force, and he's like, man, I wish Batman would just have one lethal weapon on here. But he's like, I think I might have something. He slows down a little bit. Major Force is close, and he hits him with the jets. But all this does is pisses Major Force off. He catches back up to the jet, lands on it, and is about to punch right through the glass when all of a sudden Jay Stone comes out of nowhere and tackles Major Force. So the Hal's like, what the hell? Isn't that the dude I fought at the prison? But then all of a sudden that jet that does the noise right before it's about to blow up. Hal's like, oh, time to go. He put the straps on, hits the eject button, and sure enough, just like Batman said, that thing blew up in midair. So Jay Stone got Major Force on the ground. Major Force is like, the Queen demands his elimination. And Jay Stone's like, dude, you're tripping. And just takes off all the like the wiring that's controlling Major Force, and now I guess he's just laying there. Hal is falling, and he's like, damn, he didn't put a parachute in here. He was like, oh man, here we go. He was like, all right, I'm close to the battery, so maybe I'll just go ahead and start saying the oath, and maybe it'll recharge me before I hit the ground. So he says oath. So unfortunately, he can't say it fast enough before he hits the ground. So he closes his eyes, and he opens them. He's like, I didn't hit. And we see that Jay Stone caught him by the leg. So Hal's like, we met at the prison. You tried to kill me. And Jay Stone's like, yeah, I did, but I changed my mind now. And then Jay Stone's like, I think I'm supposed to be here to protect this thing. Talking about the Green Lantern power battery. So Hal recharges his ring, and all of a sudden he hears Hal, and it's Carol Ferris. So they meet up and they kiss. And she starts telling him that, you know, I've been hanging out with a bunch of superheroes. And Hal's like, what do you think? She's like, I think I want to help. And I think I understand why you always take off the way you take off. So he's like, all right, well, then let's go. And she's like, where? We got to go save the universe. And we might as well do it together. Now, normally this is where I would end the video, but do you guys see Jay Stone and that big ass sword that he made down there? Like when he said protect the power battery, he was not lying. He is going to protect it. Like, damn, Jay Stone, it might be a little bit overkill. My name is Dorian. This is SCN Comics. We continue our coverage of Absolute Power with Superman number 18. So our story starts off with Superman remembering when he had to deal with magic users and how much trouble that they gave him. And all he says to himself is, I hate magic. So Zatanna asks him if he's okay. As he's shaking the fog out of his head, we see that he's sitting with Neron. Now, the reason why they're sitting down with him is because he has the map of Mordu. And the map is what they would use to navigate the dark roads. Now, the reason why Superman keeps having these magical thoughts or memories in his head is because the map wants Superman to possess it. And Neron says as much. And he says, all you gotta do is make a deal. So Superman, who's always on his high horse, is like, absolutely not. We're not making a deal. Zatanna grabbed that cup so fast, drunk it down, and says, deal. Superman's look at her, and Zatanna's like, it was not alcoholic. So the Superman's like, look, Neron, we're not making a deal for our souls. And Neron is like, please, your soul is one of the purest I've ever seen, Superman, but you're never going to die. So it's pointless. And Superman's like a little kid. He's like, I've died. And Neron's like, and yet you're sitting here alive and well. And then he's like, and Fishnet over here, she's pretty much used so much dark magic over the years that her soul's practically mine anyway. He's like, no, I need something else. I want Superman to lie. So Superman's like, excuse me? And Neron's like, Superman, you are a living endorsement of everything that's good in this universe. And I want you to betray yourself. I want you to lie. So Superman's like, you've got a deal. I'll lie for you. And Zatanna's screaming, no. And Superman's like, it's okay. I got this. But then Neron walks over and whispers in his ear, is like, I know your secret. I know the anger you hide. And this is not over. Superman grabs a map, walks away, is like, I know. All right, Josh Williamson, you got the ball rolling. Don't you forget about this. So then we cut to the Arctic where you got Lois Lane, and she's flying in one of Lex's prototype super suits, and Mercy's in a plane with everybody else. As they get closer to the Force of Solitude, they notice that it is not there anymore, destroyed. And if you're sitting there wondering how the hell the Force of Solitude got destroyed, we covered it. It's an Absolute Power number 2. Link to the playlist is in the description. Now we cut to the Dark Roads where Superman and Zatanna are trying to navigate. And Superman is pretty much just complaining about how he hates magic. And he's like, yeah, the rules seem to always change. And Zatanna's like, you mean you can't control it? He's like, it's not that. It just feels like the power comes with too much of her. And then all of a sudden she falls over and she goes, of a cost. As she looks horrible. So Superman's like, what's wrong? And Zatanna explains how normally the map will drain you of your magical energy, but since she does not have any magical energy, it's draining her of her life energy. So the Clark's like, no, this is too dangerous. We can't do this. And Zatanna's like, no, you don't understand. I need my magic back. And Clark's like, look, we'll find another way to get our powers back. And Zatanna's like, no, you don't understand. I need my magic back. You're Superman, but not only are you Superman, you're also Clark Kent, and you're even Kal-El. You are 3 different people. Me, Zatanna, is my real name. That's who I am. So who am I without my magic? You see, Waller took away your powers. Me, she took my life. So let's quit talking and let's get going. The map leading us this way. And when Zatanna said that these roads can even go through the multiverse, she was not lying. Because our next stop is at the House of Heroes, and it has been destroyed. So as we're walking through, it pretty much looks like either nobody survived or whoever got away is gone. But then out of nowhere, Dr. Light stumbles out and she is beat up. So she pretty much explains how the Mazo came through and wreck shop, which throughout this series has been the running theme. So that's pretty much old hat. And somehow she's gotten the map from Barry Allen, who's pretty much been mapping the multiverse. And now she's trying to build a multiversal army. But the Amazo was not alone in the attack. And there is something that's still there and will kill them if it gets a chance. And all of a sudden it says she's talking about me. And we see it's a Batman-Superman fusion, which happened in Batman-Superman World Finest, where Batman and Superman merged when they got Hal Jordan's Green Lantern ring. So for this one, has a yellow ring. Now, if you're a tad bit confused, don't worry, because your boy was confused as hell too. I'm like, hold on, time out. But I did not understand. You know what? Calm down. Let's go over facts. If you go to DC Fandom, it states that whatever happens on Earth 0, which is what we read, it can also happen on Earth 3, or has the opportunity to happen on Earth 3. This is where my confusion came in, because for this to happen, it will be Owlman and Ultraman. And if you kept up just a little bit with comics, you know, both of those characters are deceased as hell. Like, done. Over. Donezo. So what are we looking at? This is supposed to be a fusion of Batman and Superman on Earth 3 with a yellow lantern ring. How's that possible? Like, Joshua Williamson, I need your help. But because of time, we're just going to keep going on like we understand exactly why this creature is attacking Superman, Zatanna, and Dr. Light. So the creature goes, you can call me Confusion. No shit. So he's pretty much wrecking shop. Like, he made a hard-light contract of Superman, and he's got our Superman pretty much in a headlock. And the only reason why this hard-light contract broke is because the ship is pretty much crashing, and it kind of threw him off. So Zatanna's like, all right, we can use the map and get the hell out of here. Problem is that it's taking too much out of me, and I don't think I can use it anymore. So Superman walks over and is like, it's okay, I can use it. Besides, it wants me anyway. And Zatanna's like, but magic? He's like, look, I said I didn't like magic. I ain't say I never would use magic. So Zatanna's like, it'll take you wherever you want to go. And Dr. Light's like, well, wherever you want to go needs to be now. As Confusion, proper name, is coming up behind him, and all of a sudden they disappear, and now he's trapped in the bleed. So now we cut back to the Arctic. You have Lois and the crew, and they're just kind of sitting there. The force is destroyed. They don't know where the superheroes went, and right now they don't know what to do. When all of a sudden their shadows start to get bigger, Mercy's kind of freaked out. She's about to shoot at the shadows when Lois stopped her and was like, hold on, time out. I know that shadow from anywhere. And she reaches in there and pulls out a hand, and it's Superman. And he finally says, I love magic. So they get their injuries attended to, especially Dr. Light. And there's a time it's like, all right, it's time to go. Superman's like, hold on, time out. Isn't that thing zapping you of your life energy? And Satana's like, yeah, it is. But I got a new, force that it can feed on. And he said, what is that? My hatred for Amanda Waller. And it's enormous. And then they all jump back into the dark roads. But wait, comic book fans, one more thing. Turn to the last page and we see a fist that just keeps hitting the wall. It keeps hitting the wall. It keeps hitting the wall. And we see that is Doomsday. Now, if you haven't been up to date, Doomsday is currently in hell. And he's getting out. And you know he's going to come after. He's going to come after Superman. That's why wouldn't he? My name is Dorian. This is SEN Comics. We are continuing our coverage of Absolute Power with Wonder Woman, number 13. Our story starts off on Gamorra Island, where Steve Trevor literally stumbled upon Wonder Woman and Damian Wayne, and they are pretty much planning to break out all the superheroes out of the Supermax. And Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor just can't stop kissing each other, which for me is putting a strain on this Wonder Woman Damian Wayne relationship that I have been enjoying immensely. Like, Damian's trying to talk and they're not listening to him. Like, Steve Trevor, right now, you're the third wheel. So he's trying everything. He's like, hey, we need to do this plan so that we can save the world. Again, they're not listening. So then he's like, this reminds me when I had to separate Grundy and Croc from battling over a hog that was floating in the sewer. Steve Trevor's like, I was a hog floating in the sewer. And Damian's like, because I put it there. I defeated both of them and then drug them back to Arkham. Father was gone and I was bored. Steve Trevor goes, Father. And Wonder Woman's like, this is Damian, son of Batman. So as they're climbing up to the guard tower, Wonder Woman keeps calling Steve Trevor like Man of Army. And Steve Trevor keeps calling Wonder Woman Woman of Wonder. And Damian was like, this is sad. So sad. So Damian's explaining how if they jump and if they survive, hopefully they'll go through the roof and then they can take out the guards and turn off the alarm. So as he's saying, again, if we survive the fall, so he turns around, they're kissing again, and Damian's like, gross. So they go and they jump on 3. They crash through the roof and the guards are like, what the as you do. And then Robin's like, hi, I'm Robin. This is Wonder Woman. That's Steve. You guys are the scum, underpaid employees of this prison. You got 2 choices, surrender or pain. And I'm begging you pick pain. So most of them did. They got beat up and then they got tied up. And then one of the guards is explaining how the system has like a failsafe and you can't just sneak in there and do this and do that. So Steve Trevor was like, so if I threaten to punch you really hard, would that make a difference? The guard's like, nope. Steve Trevor punched the hell out of him. Diana's like, Steve Trevor. He was like, what? We don't have a lasso of truth, but we do have fists. And Damian's like, now I see why you like this route. So Damian comes up with a 3-part plan. One person has to be a decoy to distract the guards. Another person has to be a button pusher to bring down the system. Another person has to be a spy to go in there and start freeing all the superheroes. Well, Steve Trevor is the button pusher. Damian Wayne's the spy. So guess who the decoy is? That's right, Wonder Woman. And the guards ain't taking her seriously one bit. Pretty much calling her a girl with a sword. So the guards are like, drop to the ground, put your hands behind your back, and submit to the laws of the United States. And Wonder Woman's like, no thanks. I think I'll just keep standing right here in front of you. So they're like, okay. And they start opening fire. And she blocks 1 bullet. They shoot some more. She blocks some more. They keep firing. She keeps blocking. And she goes, my name is Diana Prince. My mother was a queen and now is a god. I fight under her protection. I wonder, my friends, which god's protecting you? So they're like, holy what do we do? And they start talking amongst themselves and they don't see the crazy flying chimp coming their way. And they also don't see Wonder Girl, who comes over and knocks the hell out of one of the guards. And she's like, you don't mess with royalty. And Wonder Woman's like, thank Hera. So Plastic Man and Elongated Man are in the fight, and Elongated Man's like, it sucks not being able to stretch. Hitting people actually hurts now. And Plastic Man's like, hold on, time out. Your stretching doesn't hurt? You got Martian Manhunter and McGann. They're beating prisoners up and they're having a moment. You got Kid Flash and you got Impulse. They're not moving fast, but they're still talking fast. And they're like, this sucks. And one woman falls over and collapses because she just took automatic gunfire. And because she's normal now, armor or not, that hurts. And now her arm is broke. But the boo thing is there to catch her and comfort her. Everybody is in this fight. You got Booster Gold and Hawk Girl. You got Black Adam and Power Girl. You got Jay Garrett and the other Flashes. So Superboy kind of can't. It's like, I think the guards have thoroughly been beaten. And then Damian starts to write down an incantation on the ground. And all of a sudden, Zatanna pops out of nowhere. So if you're wondering how Zatanna just pops up out of nowhere, that's in Superman number 18. Don't worry. Link to the playlist is in the description. So then Damian's like, all right, is that everybody? And then Ice is like, no, not everybody. He turns around and sees Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor lip locking again. He's like, what the hell? So Damian's like, are you coming? And Wonder Woman's like, yes, Robin. And he's like, we need to save the world. We need to do it now. They're like, we're coming. And he's like, whatever. So yes, I'm a little bit pissed off because Steve Trevor, third wheel, broke up my Wonder Woman, Damian Wayne buddy cop comic that I was enjoying immensely. But hey, not everything lasts forever. On to Absolute Power number 4. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We continue our coverage of Absolute Power with Origins number 3. Our story starts off with all hell breaking loose in Belle Reve prison. We got guards knocked out in almost every block. You got Amanda Waller saying, how did he find us? How did he find us? Rick Flash like, I don't know how, but I'll ask him after I put a bullet in him. And Batman comes down and is like, homeboy, you ain't said nothing but a word. So all you hear is screaming and shooting on the other side of the door. Because Batman's putting in some work. And Amanda's like, Flag, you there? Then all of a sudden some smoke comes underneath the door. Amanda Waller's like, oh God. Big explosion. Doors flying every damn where. Batman goes in there and proceeds to beat up on all the guards until only Amanda Waller's left. And he just walks over to her, looks down at her, and then walks out. So then we cut to Amanda Waller. She's yelling at Rick Flag like, he got that close to me. And Rick Flag with his face beat up is like, you know what? I think he got a little bit closer to me. So the Amanda Waller's like, how? How did he do it? And Rick Flag's like, he's Batman. That's how he did it. And Amanda Waller's like, look, he's just a man in a suit. Do not build up his myth. Rick Flag's like, Task Force X is supposed to be the baddest of the badasses. And one man comes in here and shuts us down like it's nothing. And Amanda Waller understands what he did and why he did it. Batman went in there and without saying one word, pretty much told Amanda Waller, anytime he wanted, he can go in there and shut her down like it's nothing. Like that. And there ain't nothing she can do about it. And she got that message. But she ain't gonna take it the way he think that she's gonna take it. So as Amanda Waller's leaving, her driver's like, hey, you got an appointment for coffee with your daughter. She's like, I didn't schedule that. He's like, I know, but she's been trying to get in touch with you for weeks and hasn't. And Amanda's like, I don't like going into meetings unprepared. And he's like, do you want me to go ahead and cancel? She goes, no, take me. And then after that, turn in your badge because you're done. So she meets with her. She's pregnant. They're arguing back and forth as mothers and daughters do sometimes because Amanda won't tell her what she does. But then her daughter pulls out her phone and plays the recording of her talking to the president. Now, this is the same conversation that she had with the president when her first Suicide Squad pretty much was about to turn on her and they nuked the whole city and had to cover it up. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that was from Absolute Power Origins number 2. Link to the playlist will be in the description. But this is also the conversation where she fully admitted to the president that she lies to her kids. So first thing, Amanda's like, how'd you get this? And her daughter's like, I'm good at what I do. You hide everything from me, so I had to figure out a way to find out what the hell was going on. So she's been following her for a long time. But also, too, Amanda is proud because she's like, you got skills. How'd you do this? And her daughter's taking it back like, oh, tell me, you're proud I did this? And Amanda's like, yeah, I work for the government. And there are a whole bunch of people that I know that get paid to do this that probably couldn't do this. So, yeah, I'm proud. So now her daughter's just pissed and she's like, you know what? Forget it. Just stay away. I don't want you at the birth and I don't want you near my baby. So So now we cut to Amanda Waller and Rick Flag. Amanda Waller's in the office drinking her worries away. And Rick Flag's like, look, I don't care if you get boozed up, but maybe a shower or two in between wouldn't hurt. Amanda Waller's like, you think the situation's funny? It's like, no, I don't think the situation's funny. Batman pretty much came in here, slapped us around, and pretty much told us to know our roles and shut our mouths. And he's just flesh and blood. What happens when Superman or Wonder Woman or Green Lantern comes knocking? And Batman pretty much just gave him the keys. And Amanda Waller's like, wait a minute. Batman attacked when we processed 12 prisoners into the prison. But we only have 11 now. One was a special request. Matches Malone from Gotham City. And if you're a Batman fan, you know that Matches Malone is Batman's favorite undercover identity. So Amanda Waller's like, I want the whole cell block dusted for fingerprints. And they're like, you realize it's an active cell block. And she politely says in a very smart way,
I don't give a fuck.
So Rick Flag starts to question her integrity. And she goes, you're a convicted murderer with mental health issues. Don't question me about integrity. And Rick Flag's like, fair. You know what? We all have our sins we have to pay for. You more than most. I just hope to God I'm there when your sins become due. I don't think it's going to be that. I'm pretty much sure he's dead. Let me know in the comments. Pretty sure Rick Flag's dead. He might be alive, but I thought he was dead.
I'm alive. I'm dead.
So now we cut to Amanda Waller. She's buying some flowers at a florist. And she's headed to the hospital for her granddaughter's birth. And she's met by her two sons. So obviously they heard the recording that her sister made. And they're not too happy. Her oldest pretty much tells her that she's not welcome there and that she will not be in her granddaughter's life and to pretty much go away. And Amanda Waller's like, are you mad about the lies? Like, parents lie to their children all the time. Oldest is like, no, that doesn't happen. She goes, look, we tell you to believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. We also tell you to work hard and follow the rules and life will treat you fair. Those are all lies. So her oldest doesn't want to hear it and pretty much tells her to leave for the last time. And she does. But then her, not youngest, but her youngest son walks up and has a conversation with her. Now, he knows a little bit about what she does, and he's scared that people are going to look at her like she's the bad guy. And she looks at him and she's like, do you really think that I give just a little bit of a damn of what people say or think of me? Thought I taught you better than that, boy. As long as I'm doing right by democracy, what they say or feel about me is irrelevant. For any aspiring YouTubers or social media personalities, what she just said, you should take that to heart. And then she sees something falling out of the sky and she goes, most people will call that a shooting star. But me, I know better. All I see is something I might have to face later. But I'll go ahead and make a wish anyway. To God, to the universe, to anyone or anything that will listen to me. Please, please give me the strength to carry on and give me the power to prevail. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We continue our coverage of Absolute Power with Task Force 7, number 7. So our story starts off in Intercorp's headquarters, which is low orbit. And you have this guy named Red Star who is communicating to, I guess, the other teams, which is Global Guardians, the new Global Guardians, and Eurocorps. Your guess is probably better than mine because me, I have no idea about any of these teams. So Red Star is pretty much saying how over the years they had their differences, but they need to work together because now they have a common threat that's coming from America, Amanda Waller, which right now you guys should know everything about this. And he's trying to warn them that, hey, one of her Amazos is coming. And Night Runner, which says right there, he's the Batman of France. He has like parkour skills and hand-to-hand combat. He goes, hey, that's helpful. There's only one problem. He's already here. And this is your Eurocorps team. Two of them are getting choked out right now by the Martian Manhunter equivalent of an amazing robot. One dude's name is Wild Huntsman. The girl is named Little Mermaid. Calm down, Disney. You have to copyright to the story, not the name. So now you have the new Global Guardians, whose base of operations is in the Mirror World. So somehow they got Mirror Masters technology. Don't ask me how, but they do. You got Tasmanian Devil, not the Looney Tunes cartoon. Yeah, that's the first thing that came to mind. Let me know in the comments as soon as I said Tasmanian Devil, did you think about Taz from Looney Tunes? You got Jack-O-Lantern, you got Freedom Beast, and you got Jet. That's your new global guardians. Now Jet is talking to Night Runner, and she's like, all we need is a mirror so we can get out of here. He pretty much goes to a car, snatches off the side mirror and goes, here you go. And they come crashing out, looking all crazy. Now Night Runner's like, that's the one who drained Martian Manhunter's powers. So Jack-o'-lantern's like, well, he got his strengths, let's see if he got his weaknesses, and hits him with some fire. So the Amazo drops Huntsman a Little Mermaid, still hard to say, and he's taking on Jack-o'-lantern. He pretty much gets tired of him, like, look, I'm a robot, fire doesn't work, and punches him in the face. Then he goes and he grabs Jet and starts doing his Amazo thing. But then some guy named Thunderlord, who is a Buddhist monk from Taiwan, has a power set that's similar to Black Canary's, comes in and takes off one of his arms. And then the Amazo robot actually has the nerve to say, hey, calm down. All I want to do is transfer your power set into mine, and then after that, you can go on about your day. But then he goes, system error, and he falls out the sky and into some water. Could be a lake, could be a sea, I don't know exactly what it is. Pretty much that's probably when the reboot happened, so yeah, that's why he's down. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that happened in Absolute Power number 3. Link to the playlist will be in the description. And one of the guys said, did we just do what the Bloody Yanks couldn't do, and that's take down an Amazo? No, that didn't happen, and you'll find out soon. So there's some lady with some red glasses walk up. I'm gonna try to pronounce her name, Belphegor. That's the best I got. She's like a French telepath. And she goes and she's like, good job, Eurocorp. That's why you should think about joining the Global Guardians. New Global Guardians, you guys are under arrest. And Jack-o'-lantern pretty much says what I was thinking. He's like, you have some robots that are going around taking not only heroes' powers, but also villains' powers. And you're trying to arrest us? So as they're arguing back and forth, there's a boom, like from a boom tube. And then they all just disappear. And then the Amazo, fresh off his reboot, gets out the water, repairs his arm, flies off to, I'm guessing, wherever they're at, which is Intercorp's headquarters, which we established in the beginning is lower orbit. Now, Ghostmaker, I recognize. He's one of the only people I recognize. And that woman is still like on one. She's like, you using like black market boom tube technology? And finally Red Star was like, woman, shut up. Me out of bed, like, can somebody please trank her, please? Because she's not in her right mind right now, which is crazy because she's a telepath. So Red Star pretty much in a nutshell is like, look, we might have our differences, and yes, we have our differences. Right now we got one common enemy, so we need to work together to stop them. But all of a sudden, some dude named Tortar comes out of nowhere. He looks beat up, and he's like, head of Amazo. For one thing, he's not down. Another thing, he has all of Martian Manhunter's powers, including his telepathy, as he shows up unexpected and just busts a hole in the ship and sends her in outer space. That is not good. So the vacuum of space is doing what vacuum of space does, and the Amazo is also using this opportunity to start draining everybody of their powers. The girl that's been giving everybody problems, she loses her grip, she starts flying towards the hole, and I'm thinking to myself, good riddance. But then Jack-o'-lantern uses his powers, which I still don't know what his power set truly is, and saves her. But as these two are getting reacquainted, the Amazo robot says, oh, did you forget about me? And starts draining both of them with their powers. And then he's like, well, since I just beat the Global Guardians, I think I'll call myself Global Guardian. I guess we're staying on brand. Kinda dumb, but on brand. So now we cut to a Man of Waller Superbacks, where pretty much the prison break is going down. That happened in Wonder Woman number 13, I think it is. Link to playlist in the description. Yeah, Frankenstein pretty much is laying there. One of the guards is pretty much drawing down on him, and then he gets knocked out by Steve Trevor. So Wonder Woman and Damian are having an argument. By the way, this is one of the best buddy cop comic books I've read in a long time. Pretty much Damian wants to leave Steve Trevor because he feels like he can handle himself, and Wonder Woman, obviously that's her boo thing, wants to go find him. As he's helping Frankenstein, he's talking to Wonder Woman on the comm links, and he's letting her know that, hey, Amanda Waller has all kinds of stuff planned, because obviously he was in there and he saw what he was doing. And she lets her know that she's trying to take over not just this reality, but the whole multiverse. Yes, Amanda Waller has gone that far. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We are continuing our coverage of Absolute Power with Green Arrow number 16. Our story starts off on Gamorra Island where Amanda Waller is getting a little pissed. She's like, the attack on the fortress failed, the attack on the mascara failed, and the Trinity, if you don't know, which is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, are still active and very unaccounted for. But some more people are also unaccounted for because she goes, where's Bright? And we see exactly where he is. He's on the wing of a Task Force X helicarrier holding Roy Harper's daughter. And Ollie, with his Task Force X uniform, is not having any of this. So now Bright is pretty much like, I'm done talking, and does his namesake. This bright light comes from him, which blinds everybody, except Ollie. He's like, I'm sorry, Bright, but I brought my shades. So then Ollie shoots an arrow at Bright, and Bright's like, you missed. And Ollie's like, did I? As he's no longer holding the girl. So we see somebody tearing the uniform and using it as a blindfold as Ollie and Bright are talking. Ollie's like, you know what? I'm tired of you, Bright. I'm gonna have my son beat you down. And Ollie's like, because my son is the greatest fighter in the world and he doesn't need eyes to kick your ass. Now, probably like Deathstroke and Lady Shiva and Batman and Bronze Tiger might have an argument about that, but Connor Hawk is really good. Just ask Damian Wayne, because Damian Wayne got his ass whipped by Connor Hawk in that tournament. So Bright's like, you ain't said nothing but a word. Ain't nothing but space and opportunity. Or, in the words of the immortal Bernie Mac.
So I backed up. And I told her, bust a move. Bust a motherfucking move.
So as Bright charges forward, he pretty much pops Ollie, but dang, Connor starts getting all up in Bright's ass. I mean, beating the bejesus out of him. And after this butt whooping is where he decides to say where he came from. And he came from Earth 3. That's right, Crime Syndicate. So now, years ago on Earth 3, he explains how he was a White Lantern. And he used to team up with Deadeye, who is pretty much the version of Ollie on Earth 3, and Power Ring, which is the version of Hal Jordan on Earth 3. Well, I guess Deadeye, during the brightest night, like darkest night, betrayed Bright and stole his ring and pretty much left him for dead. Well, Deadeye and Power Ring both died because the majority of the Crime Syndicate, the original Crime Syndicate, they're pretty much all dead. But Bright was still alive. Amanda Waller found him and put them back together, and that's why he looks the way he looks. You know what? I say Cap. Look at you trying to sound like you 20. Okay, Grandpa, what you got? How you calling me Grandpa? We was born on the same day. Anyway, I call Cap because how the hell is this dude a White Lantern? We know about White Lanterns. Kyle Rayner was like Space Jesus when he was a White Lantern. So how is Space Jesus all of a sudden going to get depowered? Explain that to me. Which is true. And with his ring, he is probably like Space Jesus. But he trusted Deadeye, and Deadeye betrayed him. So once you don't have that ring, you're not Space Jesus no more. I see what you're saying. I still yell Cap. After he finished the story, he's like, and now I get to kill your whole family. I guess his twisted mind says Deadeye is dead. Killing Ollie is the next best thing. So Ollie's like, I hate the multiverse. Can we please send this man home? And he gets showered with arrows. I mean, it was like a scene out of 300. So this man had no shield. So then Bright, fresh off of becoming a pincushion, is like, you know what? Fine. Have it your way. I'll just settle for killing you. And he goes right at Ollie. And Ollie just steps out the way and lets Bright fall off the plane. For him to be named Bright, he really isn't. So Ollie's like, he'll survive, unfortunately. Everybody get back in the plane. So they go to the Hall of Order and they're asking Ollie all kinds of questions on why he's doing this and why he did that, so on and so forth. And he's trying to give somewhat of an explanation, but he's like, but I thought you guys were going to stay on the island. Why'd you stay on the island? And they're like, well, we want to come help. He's like, well, now, unfortunately, I have to do this. And they're surrounded by Task Force 7 guards. So Tressa Cat, not one to mix words, goes to Roy Harper, her husband, and goes, I hate your family. If I was her, I'd feel the same way. So he's being called a traitor and a fascist. And Dr. Ivo's like, hey, thanks for the save. I'll be going now. Ollie grabs him's like, not a chance. So he's letting Dr. Ivo look at the amazing robots, and he's like, look, they did a really good job. Like, they're just as powerful as the Justice League, except for none of the weaknesses. And this whole healing factor thing, honestly, I wish I thought of it. So Ollie's like, all right, thanks, you can go. And Dr. Ivo's like, hold on, Tommy, you're not going to lock me up and throw away the key. He's like, go. And Dr. Ivo starts walking away. It's like, man, you really did turn to the dark side. So then we see Ali. He's got the hourglass that he was looking for when he was going through all the confiscated Justice League weapons. And he's got the box that Martian Manhunter told him to get. And then we see him working on something. And all of a sudden, somebody's in the shadow is like, all right, come on out. And Black Canary, Satana, and Dr. Light come out. And he goes, pretty bird. Because if you don't know, Black Canary is Ali's boo thing. So Dr. Light and Satana go ahead and dip out and let them talk. So of course they get to arguing, fighting and cussing. But Black Canary knows Ali better than anybody. And she knows that he's not like betraying them per se. He's just doing something and he's doing it by himself and he's not asking for any help for some dumb reason. And he is sticking to his guns because he walks over and he sets off the alarm. And it's like, if you stick around, you're going to get locked up. So she steps in the shadows and goes, let's see how it is. I love you. She disappears and he goes, I love you too. So he gets his stuff together. He hops on a little Task Force X helicarrier and he goes to Gamorra Island to meet with Amanda Waller. And she's like, I heard about you and Bright having a little run-in. I can't be having my people fighting amongst themselves, especially now. And Ollie's like, well, we got bigger fish to fry, Waller. It's time we talk about our deal. And Waller's like, it's going to have to wait, Queen, because the war is coming to us. It's probably a bad way to start a video, but I watched The Blur Cave. And Carter on that show says something about the end of this, that something better happen, because it never does throughout comics. And I agree with him. But let me tell you something. At the end of this, whew, he's going to be satisfied. I was satisfied. My name is Dora and this is SCM Comics. We are concluding our coverage of Absolute Power with number 4. So our story starts off on Gamorra Island where Ali, Green Arrow, is giving Amanda Waller a status report. Wonder Woman and Robin broke the heroes out of the Supermax. Jaystone's off the grid. Superman's kid had his free will back. And Brainiac Queen got her cyber ass kicked. And he got slapped out of him for it. And Amanda Waller's like, watch your mouth. Her and Brainiac Queen had a thing going on because, man, she gets pissed off anytime somebody brings her up. So then, after he puts the taste back in his mouth, he goes, look, I just know my old pals. I know their next move is to come here. That's why I gather all the forces to be right here when they do come. And Amanda Waller's like, you can calm down. My backup plan is in motion. Now we cut to the Supermax, where really it's more like the entrance to the Dark Road. That's pretty much how they're traveling everywhere. If you don't know, don't worry. List to the complete playlist will be in the description. But Wonder Woman is letting everybody know that Steve Trevor told her that Amanda Waller has a surprise downstairs in her basement cooking up for all the superheroes. So Wonder Woman's like, the problem with this is we don't know the exact location on where this is all going down. But that's when Wally West chimes in and is like, no, not exactly. When we did our assault on the Hall of Order, we actually was able to download maps and schematics, so we know exactly where this is all going to go down. And also, Uncle Hal got his ring back and it's charged. So Robin's like, all right, cool. Why don't you go to wherever this mortal danger is? And Hal's like, I'm on my way. So Nightwing goes to Hal Jordan's son. Pretty sure that's Hal Jordan's son. And tells him that when they go into battle, to stay close to him. Don't leave his side. And he goes, yes, sir, Nightwing, sir. Still feels weird. So the Nightwing explains how they're going to go to Gamorra Island and they are going to put some shock and awe into Amanda Waller, but they still are probably outgunned and outpowered, and they might not survive. He says, who cares? We need to do this. And he goes, Batman, time to bring the thunder. Batman is holding the mother box, and he looks dope as hell. So the next page, when they say guns at the ready, this is what they're talking about. All of a sudden there's a boom, and our heroes come out. and Nightwing is screaming, "Go, go, go." So Sarge Steele's talking to Amanda Waller, and he's like, "They are so outgunned, it is almost tragic. Fire!" And as they do, they start doing the shimmy shake, as they are getting the electrocuted out of them. So Amanda Waller's like, "What the hell? Arrow, what happened to the weapons?" Arrow? She turns around, he's gone, and she yells, "Arrow!" So now we go to the sub-basement on Gamorra Island at the Supermax, where we have Barry Allen, who is running for his Flash life. He is being chased by the Flash of Earth 13, the Flash of Earth 10, and Johnny Quick, second iteration of Earth 3, Crime Syndicate, is hitting the button to let everybody else in. So now we cut back to the battle. Superboy is using his freeze breath to build up a wall. Sarge Steele's having his people use flamethrowers to try to get through it. And pretty much the rest of the heroes are fighting to try to buy Batman some time. But Sarge Steele has other defenses. He says activate 2 and 3. All of a sudden, the superheroes start to get electrocuted. Wonder Woman is under all kinds of fire, and luckily she has that shield. And other superheroes are blocked off by some kind of plasma web. So now we cut back to the sub-basement where Barry Allen, he's trying to get the control panel, but he's being held by 2 Flashes. Amanda Waller went all around the multiverse to get all kinds of villains on her side. They're starting to come through the portal when all of a sudden they are hit with a hard-like construct. That's right, Green Lantern's there to help out his old friend Barry. So the other 2 Flashes who were trying to stop Barry Allen got distracted off of that, and Barry used that opportunity to slap the bejesus out of both of them. So even though Green Lantern is using his hard-like construct, they're starting to break through because it is a lot of them. And he's like, "Please hurry up, Barry." And Barry's like, "I'm trying. This is tech that I'd never seen before. And hell, I don't even understand the physics of all this." So I was like, "Team, we need more people down here, or it's about to get very crowded very quickly." So now we come back to the main battle. Wonder Woman knocks the hell out of Sarge Steele with a shield, talking about, "I'll be back for you later, Steele." And Superman is firing a bazooka. When did you ever think you'll see that? But it doesn't matter because the Amazos show up. Now we cut to Nightwing and John. They're trying to get the drop on Amanda Waller. But if you notice, when the Amazos show up, Failsafe didn't. Why? Because he's back to protect his boo as he grabs Nightwing. And Amanda Waller is sitting there. It's like, "I tried to be nice. I tried to put you guys in the prison and throw away the key. But no, you want to fight back. Now, time to play dirty." And she is holding some kryptonite. So now we cut to Failsafe's lab. Ironically, Batman, Blue Beetle, and John Starr, or Time Commander, is working on something. You see, the Amazos don't really self-repair. They're pretty much using his technology to go back in time to where the injury of whatever body part never happened. And every Amazo has one of these things in them. So what they're working on, if they hit one Amazo with it, then since they're hive mind, it will affect all of them to where the device will go back in time before the Amazos had everybody's powers. And then everybody's powers should go back to their prospective superheroes. And they need to hurry up because the Amazos are doing what they do, and that's wreck shop. So Batman's about to let it go when all of a sudden the Amazos use their powers and hits Batman and Blue Beetle with something, and pretty much now they're down for the count and can't do nothing. So Hal Jordan's pretty much like, "You guys better hurry up because I got but so much willpower." And all of a sudden, the Flash family shows up. Jay Garrett, Wally West, Impulse, to lend their willpower, and there's a Lantern Flash team up momentarily. So now we cut back to Amanda Waller. She's still holding a kryptonite, and she's like, "All I wanted to do was just lock you guys up. That's all, just lock you up." But no, you wanted to do this, so now we got to go to the next stage, which is termination. Like, Amanda Waller has lost it. Failsafe is choking out Nightwing. Lost Sun is choking out Superman and Wonder Woman. Her multiversal army is now breaking through the hard-like construct, and now this pretty much seems like the day is not going to be saved. But then Ollie picks up the device that Batman had and shoots one of the Amazos with it, which starts a chain reaction, which starts to return the powers to all of the superheroes. So now Amanda Waller is really losing it. This affects Failsafe too, so he's pretty much done. And then Nightwing gets out. Amanda Waller's like, "You know what? I'm done. I'm about to just go ahead and shoot your head off." When all of a sudden Dream comes out of nowhere. So the superheroes are destroying all the Amazels because now there's robots who can't self-repair. And then Blue Beetle looks at Ollie and is like, you rat. And Ollie's like, look, the only way for this to work was for me to truly believe that I was on Amanda Waller's side. So I had John Jones, Martian Manhunter, help me in that department. You see, Amanda Waller had a bunch of mind readers on her side, so she could easily have read Ollie's mind. So he had Martian Manhunter pretty much convinced himself that this is what he needs to do, but it was on a timer. Once the timer elapsed, Ollie went back to his normal self. So the Batman turns to John Jones and is like, you couldn't share that with us? Martian Manhunter is like, do I really need to bring up Tower of Babel? And Batman goes, this. So at least now we know where Damien gets it from. So now Amanda Waller's like, Dream, you are dead. How are you here? And Dream's like, well, it's funny about dreams. You see, when you had John under Brainiac Queen's control, all he did was dream about me. So I was able to come back in his dreams, and I was able to self-repair myself to where I'm here now. It's kind of a stretch, but we'll go with it. So now the other superheroes with their powers now back come and help out Green Lantern and the Flash to try to keep the portal closed. Barry's pretty much like, I can close it, but it's going to be closed like permanently. We're not going to have access to the multiverse. And they're like, you know what? Who cares? Close it. So then Amanda Waller does what she almost never does. She does a supervillain monologue. She goes, who cares? You guys got little funky powers back. Pretty much, I won because now the world thinks you guys are dangerous and there's no government in the world that's going to let you do what you do normally. And Nightwing's like, you need to quit hanging around supervillain. Meet Airwave. That's Hal Jordan's son. Airwave is a living Wi-Fi, and he does broadcast what you said all around the world. So 48 hours later, they're trying to help Superman repair the Fortress of Solitude, and the Flashes are pretty much like the multiverse. We can't tap into it because normally they would go ahead and vibrate to the frequency. And Barry is even worse off because when he did the whole thing with the machine, when the machine went boom, it took away his powers. And then we cut to elsewhere where we see Amanda Waller wake up in Belle Reve prison. And Dream is pretty much telling her no that she has a life sentence that she ain't getting out on. And Amanda Waller's like, are you kidding me? Of all the secrets I know, I will strike a deal in a heartbeat. I will blackmail the world if I need to. So Dream's like, okay, tell me where the Batcave's at. Let me know Green Lantern's alter ego. Where do the birds of prey meet? Where is Booster Gold from? And Amanda Waller can't recall any of it. And Dream's like, it's funny. You're the one that made me get better at my powers to refine them. So I was able to go in there into your dreams and pretty much take the memories that you have. They're not destroyed. I wouldn't destroy your memories, but you're just out of reach to where it's on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't recall what it is. And that's for everything. Well, everything about us anyway. So yes, Carter, Amanda Waller has officially taken her first L. Ali tells Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman to meet up at their old hideout. So Ali's like, so, am I forgiven? And Superman goes, well, for one, several superheroes are recovering from their injuries, including Animal Man, and Red Tornado might not be able to be repaired at all. And then Batman goes, two, even though a lot of superheroes did get their powers back, some didn't. So their powers went somewhere else or to somebody else, which we need to find these people so that we can get their powers to where they need to be. And then one of them is like, three, just give me a reason why I should not break your arms. So I will break your arms. So the Ollie's like, look. Even though the Teen Titans have been doing a great job in our absence, the whole reason why this went down is because we don't talk to each other anymore. We don't communicate. It wouldn't have happened if we were still a team. So I suggest that we become a team. Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman look at each other and it's like, Ali, we got something to show you. As they show a new watchtower, which is huge. And that's the end of Absolute Power. What you guys think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you go, didn't really need it? Let me know in the comments. And there is no rest for the weary because the all-in special Justice League Unlimited came out the same day that this book did. So the video for that will be coming out very soon.